In the previous spoiler, it was mentioned that after more than 600 years of nurturing, the Secluded Ocean clone was finally born. As a flesh and blood lifeform, the Secluded Ocean clone was likewise able to cultivate 9 calamities secret tome. The first 5 stages of this tome could amplify one's original life gene level by 48 times. In theory, starting from an original life gene level as high as 300-fold, once the Secluded Ocean clone completed the first 5 stages, its life gene level would exceed 14,000-fold, enough to become a lifeform unrivaled across the universe. One must know that even throughout the entire universe, special lifeforms with life gene levels reaching 10,000-fold were exceedingly rare. However, the Secluded Ocean clone's volume was roughly 10 times that of the golden horned beast. As a result, nearly completing the first stage took a full 100 years. Fortunately, LuoFeng possessed 4 clones, and his consciousness and will were extraordinarily powerful. This allowed the Secluded Ocean clone to cultivate 9 calamities secret tome while the other clones continued to comprehend the original law of space and create secret techniques. While cultivating the 5th tribulation, LuoFeng discovered that once his life gene level surpassed 9,000-fold, the rate of improvement slowed markedly. He therefore simply suspended his comprehension of the original law of space and devoted nearly all of his consciousness to cultivating 9 calamities secret tome. After 500 years, LuoFeng finally completed the first 5 stages, raising his life gene level to a perfect value of 10,081-fold. In an instant, the Secluded Ocean clone began to frantically absorb world power, its body surging to nearly 100,000 kilometers in size. Just as the Secluded Ocean clone's physique reached perfection, the origin will of the original universe suddenly descended, directly dragging LuoFeng's consciousness into the origin of the universe. The aura there was even greater than that of sitting mountain guest, yet it made LuoFeng feel gentle and familiar at the same time. He witnessed scene after scene, from the birth of the universe to its complete destruction, yet was unable to retain them in his memory. This had already reached the supreme laws, and only by attaining the void true God level, passing through reincarnation, and arriving at the origin continent would one be qualified to permanently retain these visions while observing them. Soon after, LuoFeng's consciousness was directly cast out of that space. Within the primordial void space, no one noticed what had just occurred. Only LuoFeng vaguely sensed that space and time had briefly stagnated. He then inspected his various clones and discovered that, aside from his life core turning a chaotic color, his consciousness had also been bestowed with a set of Universe Master level ultimate, strongest, and perfect innate secret techniques. I am the universe. It is worth mentioning that innate secret techniques such as domain, clones, and enhancement, which are bound to the physical body and life core, are stripped away by the original universe once a cultivator reached the true God level. Only those secret techniques directly imprinted onto the consciousness can still be wielded even after attaining true God level. Of course, the so-called strongest secret techniques of a universe master are not extraordinary for a true God, as they are fully capable of creating them on their own. Yet for LuoFeng, this carried extraordinary significance. One must know that within the original universe, under the suppression of the universe's origin will, the upper limit of offensive power a cultivator can unleash is precisely that of a universe master's strongest secret technique. LuoFeng had not yet reached the universe master level, yet he had already grasped such a technique in advance. Among his peers, his combat power was utterly beyond reason. Unfortunately, even though the Secluded Ocean clone had already reached a perfect life gene level, it was still unable to employ this technique at the present stage. The reason lay in the nature of the secret technique itself. As once activated, it allowed the cultivator to instantly transform into a miniature universe. Any enemy trapped within it, even a universe overlord, would be annihilated on the spot. If the cultivator chose self-detonation, even a universe master would suffer grievous injury or outright demise. Such terrifying power naturally came with an equally unfathomable level of divine power consumption. After fully grasping the nature of this secret technique, LuoFeng found himself caught in a dilemma. Once he transformed into a sea, the small clones he condensed would suffer a tenfold drop in both size and life gene level, making them fundamentally incapable of using this technique. Yet if the Secluded Ocean clone expanded fully in its oceanic form, its sheer scale would severely restrict mobility, making it difficult to appear in battle. Moreover, once he broke through to immortality, his internal world would transform into a divine kingdom. At that point, the Secluded Ocean clone would no longer be able to roam the universe alongside his other bodies, leaving only small clones hidden within a world ring to accompany him. On the other hand, if he abandoned sea transformation and continued cultivating in humanoid form, then even if he could wield I Am the Universe, its power, though overwhelming, would consume immortal divine power at an astonishing rate, requiring tens of thousands of years to fully recover. After careful deliberation, LuoFeng ultimately chose to set this secret technique aside for the time being and instead proceed with sea transformation. After all, the original intent behind choosing his third clone had been its immense size. Only by standing in a near-undying state could limitless potential truly be discussed. Furthermore, with the 9 Calamities secret tome in hand, both the golden horned beast and the human clone would eventually reach perfect life gene levels. When that time came, using this technique would not be too late and there was no need to rush. The secluded ocean clone immediately transformed into a colossal blood sea nearly 100,000 kilometers across, then activated its innate talent to create a small clone. Once the blood sea's energy had recovered, LuoFeng dissolved the small clone back into it, reintegrating it fully. He relentlessly drove the blood sea to expand at a frenzied pace, its demand for world power reaching a truly terrifying level. Aside from the core nexus in the internal world of the golden horned beast, the two-realm abyss, everything else, whether continents or oceans, was dismantled into world power and absorbed by the blood sea. Even the universe crystals belonging to his subordinates were completely consumed, yet the blood sea still had not reached its limit. Fortunately, thanks to LuoFeng's status and authority within the virtual universe company, he was able to freely requisition resources worth 1 million mixed yuan units. Even so, after pouring in vast quantities of universe crystals, the blood sea not only surpassed the limit of the world master level of the secluded ocean clan with 80 million kilometers, but nearly filled the entire internal world with diameter approaching 100 million kilometers, it yet still showed no sign of reaching an endpoint. What pleased LuoFeng even more was that, despite bearing such an immense blood sea, the life core showed no sign of strain at all. After further experimentation, he was delighted to discover that, after being enhanced by the universe's origin, the life core was still capable of supporting continued expansion of the inner world. As a result, LuoFeng immediately used his free quota to exchange for a large quantity of metals for the golden horned beast to devour. In fact, whether it was consuming metals or absorbing the world power from universe crystals made no fundamental difference to the current life core, and the only benefit was the further strengthening of the golden horned world stone within the inner world. After more than 3 months of frenzied metal devouring, LuoFeng's internal world finally expanded to 10 trillion kilometers in diameter, reaching its absolute limit. This scale surpassed every golden horned beast recorded in history. Even among the most exceptional of their kind, a golden horned beast's internal world typically spanned only 100 million kilometers, yet LuoFeng's was over 10,000 times larger. A world projection unleashed at such a scale would be more than enough to crush an ordinary king immortal. After his internal world expanded to its absolute limit, the secluded ocean clone continued to push the blood sea into frenzied expansion. After more than a month, the blood sea finally reached its upper bound at 10 billion kilometers, which is over 10 times larger than that of an immortal of the secluded ocean clan. This was precisely the advantage of a high-tier life gene level, and LuoFeng's secluded ocean clone possessed nothing less than a perfect life gene level. Once both the internal world and the secluded ocean clone had reached their limits, LuoFeng began comprehending the original law of metal. After more than 300 years, he finally achieved full enlightenment. In that instant, the aura of the ocean of the original law of metal flowed into his internal world, causing the origin pearl to transform into LuoFeng's likeness and guide him in unleashing a supreme strike, helping him break through the shackles and advance to immortality. This was also the reason LuoFeng had suspended his comprehension of the original law of metal over 10,000 years earlier. At that time, he had yet to nurture his third clone. If, under the influence of the universe's origin will, he had accidentally broken through to the immortal level and lost his internal world, he would never again have been able to use his innate talent to cultivate clones. The regret would have been irreparable. However, LuoFeng's life core was no longer what it once had been. Even though his willpower surpassed that of most universe venerables, and he had already created 3 pinnacle secret techniques, more than 10 consecutive attacks still failed to shake the shackles of the life core. His attempt to break through to immortality ended in failure. Advancing to immortality required not only comprehension of laws and strength of willpower, but also combat and amplification secret techniques, all of which played equally critical roles. If LuoFeng wished to achieve further improvement in a short time, the only viable path was through secret techniques. Thus, he resolved to create ultimate secret techniques. Since the cultivation of the secluded ocean clone, several thousand years had passed. LuoFeng's earlier actions, such as purchasing massive quantities of universe crystals and metal remnants, or spending long stretches of time developing his third pinnacle secret technique, had indeed given rise to doubts within the primal Chaos City leader, yet he never voiced any objections. It was not until LuoFeng spent 3,000 years creating his first ultimate technique that the primal Chaos City leader finally could not help but offer advice. He had once believed that LuoFeng was simply too humble, underestimating his own strength, unaware that LuoFeng was not unwilling to break through, but rather, completely unable to do so. Upon learning that LuoFeng intended to create 3 ultimate techniques before advancing to immortality, the primal Chaos City leader was deeply shocked, yet chose not to interfere further. After all, every cultivator could rely only on themselves to break through to immortality. Only by using the origin pearl to shatter the shackles of the life core and connect with the universe origin could one truly achieve immortality. Forcibly breaking the life core from the outside with external force would only cause the internal world to collapse, leading to demise. Moreover, at the World Master level, one's sensitivity of the original laws was far clearer, naturally aiding the creation of secret techniques. For these reasons, the primal Chaos City leader refrained from further obstruction. Nevertheless, compared to the first ultimate secret technique, the difficulty of the second increased dramatically. LuoFeng ultimately spent 8,000 years to bring it to completion. Even then, this success owed much to the primal Chaos City leader repeatedly arranging tailored opponents for him. Had LuoFeng been left to create it on his own, it might have taken tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of years to succeed. As the power of his secret techniques increased, their complexity rose sharply. Even after spending tens of thousands of years continuously studying and refining them, LuoFeng was still a long way from creating the third ultimate secret technique. During this period, he attempted to break through to immortality, but ended in failure. Tens of thousands of years of seclusion inevitably left an impact on his state of mind, especially for someone who had always been under close scrutiny, as rumors and idle talk gradually took their toll. One must understand that once a cultivator's state of mind becomes tainted, they will either stray onto a misguided path or find it nearly impossible to make further progress. This was precisely why Hong, relying solely on his exceptional mental fortitude, had earned the favor of the founder of Huge Axe Dojo, been accepted as a disciple in name, and taken as a direct disciple by a universe master. Realizing that his own state of mind had been disturbed, LuoFeng chose to cast everything aside and let his Masha clan clone wander the universe. After all, leaving human territory meant encountering unpredictable dangers, yet the Masha clan clone was peerless in disguise and escape. So long as it did not encounter a universe master or enter a special universe secret realm, surviving and tempering itself through experience posed little difficulty. During his travels through the universe, the Masha clan clone not only personally experienced countless strange universe phenomena, but also took on the identities of members of various races, integrating into different civilizations and experiencing diverse ways of life. Through these trials, LuoFeng's willpower became increasingly refined, and his secret techniques advanced through successive breakthroughs. After 50,000 years of wandering, he finally created the third ultimate secret technique. At the final stop of his wandering through the universe, LuoFeng arrived at a planet within the territory of the Prison Clan. His Masha clan clone disguised itself as a local native, blending in to observe the customs and way of life. Unexpectedly, a powerful force attempted to seize the planet and planned to annihilate one of the clans residing there. Even if the clan fought back desperately, facing a battalion of 100 world masters under the command of an immortal, a few world master level warriors were powerless to resist. As a mere observer, LuoFeng initially had no intention of intervening. However, when he saw a native risking his life to hold off the enemy so that more of his companions could escape, that scene stirred memories of LuoFeng's own past battles alongside his comrades against the golden-horned beast. In the end, LuoFeng decided to act. In an instant, sword light rained down like a torrential storm, engulfing the battlefield. Every world master in the battalion was instantly cut down in a bloodbath, and even the leading immortal was obliterated. LuoFeng watched all this calmly, then teleported away from the planet and began his journey back to human territory. Upon returning to the primordial void space, LuoFeng unusually stepped out of his palace, immediately catching the attention of the primal Chaos City leader. The leader was astonished to realize that LuoFeng's mindset had undergone a profound transformation where his willpower was likely no weaker than that of any universe overlord. After reflecting on the tens of thousands of years of his wandering experiences, LuoFeng returned to the main hall and formally attempted to break through to immortality. Using the Origin Pearl, he activated the third form of his ultimate secret technique, striking the shackles of the life core head-on. The moment the inner wall of the core shattered, the origin pearl finally connected fully with the ocean of the original law of metal, and the original law of metal descended. Because the Thousand Treasures River enveloped the entire virtual universe headquarters, the immortal attendants and even the nearby universe venerables could only perceive the external manifestation of the law's descent. Even so, the sheer force of it left them awestruck. After all, the commotion caused by LuoFeng's breakthrough to immortality far exceeded, by more than 100-fold, the spectacle of a human breaking through to the level of a universe venerable. As the absolute ruler of the primordial void space, the primal Chaos City leader could perceive the full extent of the might and instantly concluded that LuoFeng harbored a staggering secret. After all, the torrent of metal divine power pouring down like an inverted sea could only occur when the breakthrough cultivator was absorbing it at a frenzied pace which something no merely massive or powerful special lifeform could ever compare to. The primal Chaos City leader faintly sensed that LuoFeng might be more terrifying than any special lifeform he had ever encountered, and that if LuoFeng were allowed to continue growing, he would inevitably become a supreme existence capable of intimidating countless races across the universe. After successfully breaking through to immortality, LuoFeng tested it briefly and, just as he expected, the secluded ocean regained its ability to expand. In fact, once a cultivator breaks through to World Master and completes their final life gene leap, unless a genetic mutation occurs, their size will remain fixed regardless they later advance to immortality or universe venerable. The secluded ocean, however, was entirely different. With every advancement in level, its essence became increasingly refined, and thanks to its sea nature, it could continue expanding under the limits allowed by the universe's laws until reaching its absolute limit. Unfortunately, unlike at the World Master stage, LuoFeng could no longer rely on universe crystals to push the secluded ocean to its limit in a short time. Like other immortals, he now had to slowly absorb divine power from the universe to restore and strengthen his divine body. Although the primal Chaos City leader already knew of LuoFeng's successful breakthrough through his control of the primordial void space, as a disciple under his special focus, LuoFeng still personally visited the leader's palace to report his breakthrough as a mark of respect. After a brief evaluation, the leader concluded that LuoFeng now possessed combat strength equivalent to a universe venerable and granted him corresponding status within the virtual universe company. Once the news spread, nearly all universe venerables in the company were dissatisfied. Though none dared to directly question the primal Chaos City leader's decision, they attempted to use Venerable Jinyan as an intermediary to make LuoFeng recognize his position. After all, powerful beings live for countless years, and as friends and loved ones pass away, honor often becomes one of their primary pursuits. Listening to Venerable Jinyan's explanation, LuoFeng understood the mindset of these venerables, and what he needed to do was prove himself with strength. Of course, before that, he first had to build his divine kingdom. So, just how powerful is LuoFeng's divine kingdom? And in what way would he vindicate himself? Stay tuned for the next spoiler, where I will reveal it all. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching this video. Wish you a wonderful day.